Welcome, everyone, to the George Mason Basketball Coaches Show. I am Bill Rowland, our first show of the year coming from you here at Commonwealth Brewing. We have a great show for you tonight. Head coach Tony Skinn of the men's team is here. We're going to talk to Vanessa Blair-Lewis of the women's team coming up a little bit later on, and we'll close things out with women's player Paige Greenberg as well here on episode number 1. We'll start, of course, with the men's basketball head coach Tony Skinn. Start of year number 3 for you, Tony, and we can go down the list of things that you accomplished last year. School record time, 27 wins. Back to the NIT, the first major tournament for the school since 2011. You're named A-10 Coach of the Year. Regular season A-10 co-champions. What do you do for an encore here now in year 3?
Man, that's a tough task there, man. Obviously, it's been special when I took this job. Obviously, I had a high expectation for myself, but being a guy that's never been in that first seat, it's been very motivational for me to be able to come back to my alma mater and really to be able to set the tone the first 2 years. And so I'm excited. 27 wins is a reminder, a record-setting school history number. But we got a special group, and I think we're in a good spot.
We talk about a special group. You had to basically revamp this roster almost from scratch. Obviously, guys like Maddox and Billups and Zach Anderson and Woody Newton all moved on. Eligibility is up. You had guys that entered the portal and decided to go elsewhere. How did you and your staff go about putting together this roster in this day and age of NIL and everything else? It's just a big whiteboard in the back office, and you guys are scratching off names and writing down numbers. How did you start putting it together?
Well, first of all, you're taking me back down memory's lane. There comes a point in your season, especially the way we ended our season, we were one possession away from the NCAA tournament. And when you have a bunch of seniors that, they want the tournament so bad, it's hard to keep them motivated for that NIT game. Shout out to that group because they stayed motivated and they really came out to compete against Sanford at one point. We were up 25.
Yeah.
But to lose the game against Bradley, which it was I believe our 5th game in 9 days. It was Bradley's maybe second game in 14 days. We were gassed. But the same was for us as a staff and as a coach. And as you're ready for the season to be over, you're not necessarily thinking right away about what you need to do next.
Right.
The season finally ends, and then you go in your office thinking you can breathe, and then you look on the board, and you've literally got no players left. And so shout out to my staff. The way we put this team together in year 1 when I took the job, we were able to do the same in year 3. Obviously we had the success of, winning our league, the opportunity that we had for the players that we recruited, 90% of our production being there. It's a great time to be a Patriot. And so as hard as it was in the portal, I would say it was we had an advantage with the success that we had.
Yeah, anytime you win 27 games, obviously you're going to have players looking at you and say, hey, I want to go be a part of that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about schedule for this year. A lot of really interesting games on the schedule. You go and you look at the most home games, I think, in George Mason basketball, men's basketball history. Mm-hmm. So that's cool. A lot of opportunity for people to come out to Eagle Bank Arena and see you guys play. And kind of an old CAA feel as well. You've got Old Dominion coming to town. You've got, of course, James Madison will be here the Saturday after Thanksgiving. Talk to me about putting together that schedule. Always fun to play those in-state schools, including a road trip to Virginia Tech as well.
Scheduling is very, very, very complicated. I thought with the retention that we had in year 2, we made the calls as a staff. We got Duke on our schedule. We got Marquette on our schedule. We had some other competitive games on our schedule. Fast forward, you win your league, and all of a sudden, nobody picks up the phone.
Right.
And so there's a gift and a curse in being in that position. We were able to get some really, really good home games supported by our administration. 10 home games is very, very, to me, very important when you have such a new group. You got 12 new players. You got to be able to get the confidence you need on your home floor. And obviously, as a competitor, I'm excited about those in-state games. James Madison, an OCAA foe, ODU, an OCAA foe, and obviously having the chance to go down to Blacksburg. When I originally called Mike Young, who I have a good relationship with, in April, he told me absolutely not. Unfortunately for the ACC, they needed an extra game. And so, the wheels kind of came back a couple weeks later. So I'm excited that we'll get a chance to go down the road to get a P5 opponent.
Let's talk about the exhibition game from this past Saturday. Obviously, anytime you play somebody that's in a lower level, D3, you're expected to win. You guys did. You came out on top. What did you learn from your team and watching them play for the first time in front of a crowd and everything else, at least this team that you've assembled?
Well, I would say in the first 20 minutes, the score was 40-11. As unhappy as I was, I still went into the locker room at halftime. I was okay. And then we came out and allowed them to shoot 6 threes. And after the game, I didn't feel as comfortable.
Right.
But I say that to say it's a new group. You know, we lost 90% of our production last year. We've got 12 new players coming from 12 new systems. We got freshmen that I think have a chance to play. Everyone's learning themselves. Everyone's learning kind of what we do. You know, even though our personnel changed, the personality of our team, it can't change. I mean, with that type of demand, it's gonna take some time. But I think where we are today with our connectivity, I'm happy about it. And again, that game against Alfred, it had little to do with Alfred, more to do with us.
Pretty cool moment for your associate head coach, Steve Kerr, and his son played on that team that you guys played on Saturday. That was kind of neat to watch out there, and you guys didn't make it easy on him, that's for sure.
No, absolutely not. You know, I'll share a story with you guys. I remember why we scheduled this game. I completely forgot up until when we were talking about Alfred and showing personnel that Coach Steve's son was on that team. He's actually one of their better players. So Coach Steve goes through the first player, the second player, and then he brings his son up. And I had to actually cut him off and reminded the team that if anyone allowed this kid to score, I'm subbing him and I'm sitting him right next to his dad. So that was a funny moment. But again, that was a great day for us, obviously for so many different reasons. He got a chance to coach against his son. I got a chance to coach my son. And so definitely a good day for us.
And it's kind of cool. You get to every day coach your son, who's now a member of this team. Is there at any point do you ever sit back and go, this kid's not too bad. I can understand why he's here. Or are you still just in such a mindset that never comes into your head?
I'm a little bit wired different. And so as happy as I am, I think for me it's going to be very, very similar to a lot of things that I've accomplished in my life. I remember when we went to the Final Four. You know, the Final Four was so important to me, but not as important as the career that I had in front of me as a player. And then I retire, and then it becomes that much more important for me as a coach. I think coaching my son is going to give me the same, where I'm enjoying the moment, but I'll enjoy it a little bit later down the line when I'm a little older and I probably got grandkids and he's able to talk to me about it.
There you go. Home opener coming up Monday, a week from yesterday. Mm-hmm. Wofford's going to be in town. Probably really hard to get a read on them. They ended up getting a brand new coach just a couple of months ago, just like you guys, all new players. How do you go about scouting a team like that when there are so many new pieces?
Yeah, no, there's no, again, I think the new X and O's in this landscape is really the management of your team. Everyone has the same issue. Everyone's coaching, anywhere from 6 to 12 new players. I think for us, it's just about focusing on who we are, what we do, and how we need to do it. We're healthy. And the connectivity we have thus far on October 27th is better than the connectivity we had last year with that group. And that group won 27 games. And so I'm excited about that. Again, Wofford's going to come in there. This might be one of their biggest games this year. They've been through a lot of adversity with their coaching change. But again, for us, it has very little to do with our opponent this early in the season and everything to do with us and getting where we need to get to.
Head coach Tony Skinn. Be sure to come on out and see him next Monday for the home opener. In fact, all George Mason ticket options are on sale right now. Season tickets remain one of the best values in Northern Virginia, starting at just $6.25 per game, or you can save up to $50 with a throwback 2-pack or $75 with the A10 Saturday plan. Visit gomason.com/tickets. For more information, that's head coach Tony Skinn. We'll be back on the other side with the women's head coach, Vanessa Blair-Lewis, right after this. Welcome back to the George Mason Basketball Coaches Show. I'm Bill Rowland. Joining me now, the women's head basketball coach, Vanessa Blair-Lewis. And Coach, I went over Coach Skinn's accolades from last year. I could do the same for you. But the biggest accolade of them all was, of course, you guys getting to the first ever NCAA tournament in George Mason basketball history. On the women's side, you won the A10 tournament last year. 4 years ago, this team was coming off no conference wins. 4 years later, you're in the NCAA tournament. I'm sure you're looking forward to this season, but it's still remarkable to look back at what you guys accomplished.
Absolutely. It's really tough to even think that happened, so long ago. Like we're into a new season now because you're still reveling in all of the excitement of it. Yeah, it was historic, and these young ladies deserve so much of the credit because they did all of the work. They did all of the believing, and we were able to bring home a trophy back to Fairfax.
you had the same, I'm not gonna say as much as Coach Skinn had, but you guys had to make some adjustments with your roster as well. Now you were lucky that two of your best players hung around in
Yeah.
Walton and Harris, but you had to do some scouting around, NIL, bringing in some folks in the portal, and also
Yeah.
bringing in 6. Coach, are you crazy?
I know.
6 freshmen
I
this
know.
year.
I know. I owe this new patch of gray hair to them. But yeah, the landscape we're in right now, it requires you to be ready to have to change your roster really quick. The young ladies have and the men have an opportunity to decide after a year what they want to do. And thankfully, we had Kennedy Harris and Zah Walton to be able to say, hey, I want to stay here. I want to continue building this thing, along with players like Paige and Jada. And, so we're really excited that they, stuck around. And through graduation, just matriculating naturally, we lost some other players, with Paula Suarez. Would love to have her back, right?
Sure.
And Nalani Kasia. But we're really excited. The glue of the program is still here.
Let's talk about that. Harris and Walton both being named first team All A-10. That's a pretty good core to build around.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is who we're building the program around and who we built it around. They give you that one inside-outside punch. Zah can play on the outside and the inside. Kennedy Harris can play 1 through 3. So they're a solid core that can affect the game in different ways.
You guys have had an opportunity to get up and down a little bit. Have you kind of settled into what you think your rotation may be here at the start of the year?
Yeah, I think we're really veteran laden, with the incoming players in Awa and MJ. They really add a nice balance to what we already have in Ken and Zah. And so just being able to have that core group of veterans on the floor really bodes well for us.
Last year, the slogan was Believe Big. Well, it has been for the last 4 years.
Yeah.
So you believed big, you got it done. So now what?
Yeah, so our staff, we spent a long time thinking about it at the end of the season. And, Believe Big was just the beginning, but it was a start. It was where we had to start because there was really no evidence to show much else.
Right.
And so we thought about it this year. And we said, we don't want to believe bigger, because it seems like, it's not measurable, right? And we don't want to just believe 2.0. It's a little cliche. And we just thought it was lazy to say those things. So what we wanted to do is mathematically, we wanted to have exponential growth. And so what we talked about is squaring ourselves. So we put Believe Big, which we've done that work, right,
Okay.
in parentheses. And we put the exponent 2 on the outside, which means we want to square the work we've done. And so we want to double and have that type of exponential growth from the program moving forward.
It's really impressive, again, what you guys have been able to do in the A-10. And really the A-10 at large, you look at Richmond getting there as well last year as an at-large team. And I've seen both you and the Spiders listed on, hey, you better watch out for these teams come NCAA tournament time, whether it's an at-large or winning the conference outright. That's got to be nice that you've been one of the programs to kind of help elevate the rest of the A-10.
Absolutely. When we got in, we were at the bottom, and that conversation from a commissioner was like, hey, the bottom, you guys have to rise. We have to be competitive. So we knew that was something that was not just going to help elevate Mason, but to help elevate, the conference as a whole. And we have great visibility in a lot of, media networks, and we want to be a part of that. And so here we are right now, at the top of the A-10 conference. And like you said, we have some preseason player of the year watches, which, oh my goodness, right? And of that team, 4 from this conference,
Right.
which is phenomenal. Actually 5, 1 from VCU.
How do you manage now the expectations? Because again, for the last 3 or 4 years, you guys have kind of been the underdog and you surprise people here or there, but you're not surprised anymore. Now it's the other way around. You are the ones being hunted.
Yeah, well, I think, you know what, Bill, you got to go back 1 year. The year before last, we won 23 games and went to a postseason berth as well. And so we knew that going into last season that we weren't going to surprise many people because we had a really successful year that year. So I think right now that's par for the course. They know that, you're not going to, people aren't going to be surprised. They're gunning for you. And to be on the Becky Hammond mid-season play of the year watch with 2 of our players, you're not creeping up on anybody.
No, probably not. You guys open up on the road at Temple. You've got some other big games, road and home, on the schedule, including Georgetown, your second home game. That's on Friday the 14th. You open up against Florida A&M, your home schedule on the 10th. But What went into putting your schedule together? I mean, there are a lot of big games. Like Maryland's on there as well. You got a lot of tough games,
Yeah,
Coach.
Maryland, Georgetown, Ole Miss in the Daytona Beach Classic, Princeton. It doesn't get any easier, but these are the games that our ladies want to play, and we want to play in this program because we've stepped it up a notch. And now you want to put yourself in and to battle against some of the best that are out there so that you can be prepared when the A-10 starts.
Well, we're going to be out there on the 10th to see you guys take on Florida A&M, Georgetown on the 14th. Coach, thanks for stopping by. If you want to come out and see the women's basketball team, the reigning A-10 champions, the basketball season tickets are available for $110. The VIP season tickets are sold out, so you better get on the phone and get these. Single game tickets also available. Don't wait. Get your tickets today at gomason.com/tickets. Coach, we will see you, Eagle Bank Arena, on the 10th.
November 10th, and it's our ring ceremony.
Ring ceremony on the
Yes.
10th. Come out and support the women. We'll be back on the other side with women's player Paige Greenberg after this. Welcome back to the George Mason Basketball Coaches Show. I am Bill Rowland. We've already heard from men's head coach Tony Skinn, women's head coach Vanessa Blair-Lewis. It's now our pleasure to be joined by women's captain, tri-captain this year, Paige Greenberg. Paige, welcome to the show. We appreciate it. A local product. You played your high school ball around here in the D.C. area. Decided to come back to the area for college. What went into that decision to kind of come back and decide to play for George Mason? It's now your third year here, but
Yeah.
what was that thought process back when you decided to come home?
The DMV has great basketball, very competitive. So when I came here on my visit, I already knew it was a great area for women's basketball, and the coaching staff, they just very impressive people, and I just knew like this was the place I wanted to be.
Well, let me ask you, because you were part of the team, obviously, that got to the first ever NCAA tournament in Mason women's history.
Yeah.
When you came here, there was not a ton of success prior. So how does that, when you decide to come here and then you look at it and you're a big part of making that NCAA tournament, what's that journey been like for players like you and Walton and Harris to kind of all grow together over the last 3 years and get that ultimate goal?
It's just believing in something that you might not be able to see in the moment. Like we all believe in each other, our work ethic, the coaching staff. So we knew if we just came together and did what we had in mind that we could accomplish anything.
I think one of my favorite parts about watching your game has been the last two Mason Madness events. When you knocked off the guys in the three-point shooting contest. And this last one, I tell you what, your teammates love the fact that you're out shooting them. Is that always been one of those things you're like, hey, this is my shot, no problem, three-pointers are my thing?
Yeah, I just believe I'm the best shooter on the floor. That's all it is.
A lot of talking during practices as you guys, because I know you guys cross paths every now and then. Do you ever mention to them, hey guys, I am the two-time defending champ of Mason Madness three-point shootout?
Yeah, my actions back it up. I don't need to say much.
There you go. You don't need to talk. Just go ahead and do it. You're captain this year, which is a big responsibility, obviously. You, along with Harrison Walton, are having to bring along a group of freshmen and transfers that may not have been a part of what you guys accomplished last year. When you're in the locker room, how do you go about bringing everybody and trying to get them on that same page? You've been now in the program for 3 years. You know what Coach Blair-Lewis expects. What is your role as a captain in trying to get everybody on the same page?
Well, it's just a standard here that we follow, putting the work in, leading by example. We have two great vets in Alwa and MJ, the transfers, that also help contribute to that and just teaching the freshmen what we know. So just following the standard, putting the work in.
You are the youngest of 4 kids in your family. So in that, is that where the competitive spirit comes from? Because again, watching you at Mason Madness and I watch you in practice and competitions, you are not someone that likes to lose, even if it's just a simple sprint or whatever it is. Did playing against your older siblings, is that where that comes from?
Yeah, it's definitely my brother. He's 3 years older than me, so we'd always play one-on-one. And he's a football player, so one-on-one with him.
A lot of bruises, I imagine.
Yes, he's like a brick wall, but we compete all the time.
So do you remember the first coach, or maybe it was your brother, the first person that kind of put a basketball in your hands, and then you're like, hey, this is pretty good. I like this sport. Did you play other sports growing up, or was it always basketball?
I played a lot of sports. All my siblings did, but my grandfather definitely, he loved basketball. So like anytime I went to Alabama, we'd shoot in the barn. He taught me how to shoot. So.
And you've got a pretty good basketball background as well. with your mom, who is really good friends with LSU coach Kim Mulkey.
Yeah.
You guys were down in that bracket last year when you played Florida State in the first round. How kind of cool was that you got to go and play in front of a family friend? And, I mean, a lot of people play in front of family friends, but they're not national championship basketball coaches.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of a fun moment.
Yeah, that was a coincidence for sure, but really fun. My whole family got to come. People in Mississippi came down, so it was great.
When you look at all the different things that you've been able to do, again, having Kim Mulkey as a family friend, being able to go and play basketball in college, has that kind of, as you look at what you want to do, because eventually everybody stops playing at some point, have you thought about, hey, I want to stay in this, or what's kind of the goal once this is all done?
Yeah, I definitely want to stay in the game of basketball, whether it's coaching, playing, maybe sports psychology, but I'm just really interested in basketball. It's like one of my passions, so.
Nothing wrong with that. Home opener coming up on the 10th.
Yeah.
Your ring ceremony, did you get sized? Have you seen it, or is it going to be a surprise?
Surprise.
It's going to be a surprise. All right, very good. Paige Greenberg of the women's basketball team. Come out and see them on November 10th out at Eagle Bank Arena. They'll open up their home schedule against Florida A&M, and then crosstown rival Georgetown is in town on the 14th. Come out and see the women as they look to defend their A-10 title this coming year. See the men on the 3rd as they open up against Wofford. Thanks to Tony Skinn, Vanessa Blair Lewis, and of course, Paige Greenberg. This has been the George Mason Basketball Coaches Show.